Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Debate Hub. I am Chesh, and here with me is Jeff Holiday, and I'm super excited because it's been forever since I got to hang out with Jeff. Jeff, how are
I know
you?
that.
Hello.
I'm good. I'm alive. I think I'm still a little bit in 8-bit mode here, but we were tangling with my insane amounts of stupid production I try and put into the most inane streaming PC. You know,
I mean,
I
it's
haven't updated
high
my
high level
I haven't
production.
updated my shit in forever.
Oh no.
I'm just like trying to squeeze blood out of a stone with some of my older hardware, but it's all right.
Oh boy. Well, it'll work for our conversation and our purposes today.
Sure.
Sure. Today we're gonna kind of focus a little bit on Dr. Phil a little bit because that's what I like to torture Jeff with because I think it's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah. It was one of my proudest and one of my worst moments. That's for sure.
So yeah, tell us about because you actually went on Dr. Phil's show to initially talk about Jilly Juice, if I'm remembering correctly. And how long ago was that
Yeah.
now?
Oh God. Oh God. Well, it was before the pandemic.
Yep.
Um, I want
Was
to say
it
it was
pre
like
or post?
2018. It was. I think it was like 2018 is when it happened.
That sounds right.
And the sign. Yeah. Um, and so what happened is I got contacted by a producer from the Dr. Phil show, and she had been clued in on Jillian for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember exactly who. Like, she told me like there was a few different people who were like, "Hey, yeah, Dr. Phil show, you should probably get her on." Um, and at that point, also there had been a BuzzFeed article that me and this journalist had worked on together, and like a bunch of other stuff. And I was kind of like the Jilly Juice guy, I guess, for better or worse, whatever the fuck that means. And they were like, "Hey, why don't you come down to LA? We finally got her on board. You can be on the show." And I my motivation in doing it was that sounds bizarre, and sure, I'll do it. I'm
For
always
the meme, yeah.
yeah, for the meme. Yeah, I really like doing things that are different than anything I've done before.
Yeah.
Um, and so I do seek out those types of new experiences. So I was more than happy to do it. But it was a very, very strange experience. And I was there a lot longer than I thought I was supposed to.
Did you think you were gonna like fly down and be there for like a day or two,
Good
and then it ended up being
afternoon.
like a week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so, okay. They didn't tell me how long I was going to be gone. They were just like, this is when your flight is to get down here. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And I get there, and there's like a dude with my name on a piece of paper. And I'm like, what the fuck? And so I'm riding
To
this
pick you up
nice
from the
brand new
airport.
yeah, I'm riding this brand new Escalade like through LA to Beverly Hills. Or not Beverly Hills. I don't remember where exactly it was. This is one of the really nice neighborhoods.
Right.
And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
so we go into the studio, and he's like, no, we're going to the loft. And I'm like, right, the loft.
Yeah. I know that thing that you just said.
And this is
Everybody
right
knows
around
that thing you just said.
yeah, this is right around the time like Harvey Weinstein stuff is going down, and I'm like, am I gonna
Oh,
just suck some
right.
dick to get on TV? Is that what's
For
gonna happen
Dr.
here?
Phil and Jilly Juice.
Yeah, like some producer's gonna make me fucking swallow his knob if I want to be on TV. Uh, and no, it's where they record all the beat footage. Like when
Oh,
they do
yeah.
the stingers coming back. And they're like talking in a dark room, like chili juice could get somebody killed.
Yeah.
That kind of shit. And so I record that, and they take me around this neighborhood and record stuff around the neighborhood of me like looking at stuff or like walking down the street. Just stupid shit.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
cool. So when's the show? And they're like, oh, in 3 days. I'm like, fuck do you mean in 3 days? I'm like, yeah, no, it's in 3 days. I'm like, okay. I thought it was like today or tomorrow. And they're
What
like,
am I
oh, no, no, no.
supposed to do?
Didn't they tell you about this? I'm like, no, nobody told me anything. Like, oh yeah, we're putting you up in Studio City. You got, yeah, well, here's I think it was like $50 a day for food, and we got you a hotel. And so I just fucked off and like wandered
Took a
pretty quick.
vacation, yeah.
Yeah. And the evening before we filmed, I met up with a bunch of YouTubers, some good, some bad, and partied quite a bit in Hollywood. And yeah, that was like my last night in LA before I went to the show. So
So did you
it
go
was
to
all
Dr.
right.
Phil hungover?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
This is
I
classic Jeff.
Well, I had a bottle of Crown Royale in my room, and so
Yeah,
when I woke up, I woke up at 4 a.m. in the morning and hungover. I'm like, ah, fuck, ah,
little
no.
hair of the
So I started
dog.
brewing all the coffee, taking little sips of whiskey, order the greasy breakfast, take like a half an hour long shower. I was fine. It was okay.
I mean, it's better. It sounds like more of a vacation than mine. I flew down, slept, went to court, flew back.
Nice, nice.
And I didn't even get to go to like LA. I was in the middle of butt fuck nowhere, Kansas.
Oh Jesus Christ. Yeah,
I,
that's not fun.
the lady that I went to court with did a video and she's negging Egghead.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, you haven't seen it?
No. I didn't hear about this at all. This is wild.
I was gonna tell you before the show, but there are too many technical difficulties. I'll show you after. So we can focus on Dr. Phil. It's really funny.
Sure. Yeah, yeah. No, that's bananas. That's
Oh,
crazy.
it's very funny. I did an
Wait, so
episode, I did a show with him just talking about like, internet trolls, which is,
right.
something Egghead knows about. And she
Yeah.
goes on her own stream and is just like, "You don't seem like you really know what you're talking about, and you could offer more to Chesh's channel if you came to know me." And she's got this boob window in her shirt.
Amazing.
It's very funny.
So when she was negging him, do you think she like is negging him purely out of like she doesn't like him, or do you think there was like this? Is there
Oh,
more?
I think she was negging him because she doesn't like me.
Oh, you could do better. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. It's people are fucking crazy. The internet is
Oh,
bizarre.
yeah, I'll have to show it to you. But
Yes.
points for another day. So, you went to Dr. Phil. You were
Yes.
hungover. Did you actually get to
There.
meet Jillian as well?
I mean, we were
Like,
right across from each other,
yeah.
but not the. So they are okay. So I don't know how much you know about like the past like controversies with Dr. Phil and the show and
Yes.
like having guests. Like, yeah. So
Yeah.
like there have been people who've been like assaulted, like
Yeah.
they fight off camera. Um, like there's all sorts of really crazy shit that's happened behind the
Yeah.
scenes on that show. So they're really good about it, and you don't see each other
They've
until
learned
you're
some
literally
things.
right, right. You don't see each other until you're literally right in front of each other, right there, and the cameras are on.
Yeah.
That's the way they do it. And then the moment that the show is over, they both take you totally separate directions and immediately put one of you in a cab, wait 20 minutes, and then immediately put the other one in a cab.
Oh.
Yeah, you only have enough time to grab your stuff, and they're throwing you out of the studio and sending you straight to the airport to get on a plane.
Oh, wow.
Like, yeah, they throw you out of the city. Like, it's crazy. They do not fuck around.
I
Like, they
mean,
don't want.
yeah, if you're gonna have people fighting in the background, you don't want your, like, company to be liable for that.
Right. They don't want anybody able to, like, to get into a fight with each other right after being on the show, and they don't want anybody coming back to the studio.
Right.
Like, they want you gone as quick as possible, makes it as simple as possible. Like, just, yeah, covering their asses, et cetera, et cetera. But I mean,
Yeah.
that's show business,
Yeah.
especially this type of reality TV show kind of thing. So,
Well, I mean, they got to keep everybody safe, and especially if there had already been controversies up to that point. Have you looked at Jillian recently?
yeah, yeah, I keep up with her.
I
I
lo-
don't really put her on like the Winged Roundup anymore,
yeah.
and I don't like dig deep into her really that much anymore because surprisingly, she's kind of chill now.
She's calmed down. She's still saying
Yeah.
some pretty wacky things, but it's
Oh
way
yeah.
more like muted. It's way more like it's not up here anymore. It's kind of
Mhm.
somewhere around here.
Yeah, and oddly based stuff too. Like that is
Sometimes, yeah.
really shocking. Sometimes, yeah. I mean, she has every capacity to say something atrocious and stupid.
Don't we all?
Sometimes she'll, yeah, oh boy, how much time you got for me? Um, but yeah, it's a fascinating situation, and every now and then when she has a really really good salient take, I'll show it on the Wingnut Roundup to be like, look, people can change. She's still crazy, but like
Good
it's
ideas are
changed.
good
It's different.
ideas, whether they're wherever
Right.
they're coming from, and like we take
Right.
those, we take those wins.
Right. Absolutely.
I saw
So
Bernie Sanders and John Stewart having that exact conversation about trying to work with like the quote unquote other side. And being like, oh, well, RFK Jr. said that fast foods are killing us. And like, yes,
yeah.
correct. And then everybody's like, how could you agree with JFK Jr. or whatever?
Right. Well, and the big problem with that one is that the moment Bernie said that, there were all of these fucking these like online rags publications, political
Yeah,
talking heads that are all like, Bernie Sanders agrees with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and they like edit out the part where he says now most of his ideas are dangerous and bad.
right.
Like so really, is it really that good of an idea to do?
It's like it's too much American politics and tabloids is basically what you're saying.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. It's funny. The whole situation is pretty silly, but
So
it should. It's laudable when somebody seems to have had an organic change that seems to be honest, and it's worth pointing out when somebody has done good when they otherwise have usually we're used to them doing such bad. I
yeah,
think that's fun. Yeah.
I think that's a good idea too. So back to Dr. Phil. He was at the Republican rally before
Oh
the
yeah.
election, and
Uh-huh.
there's rumors that have gone around that he was wanted to go to the DNC one and didn't get a call, and like they weren't interested in him.
I don't know how likely that is, to be honest with you.
Mm,
That sounds like a bunch of horse shit to me. I don't think anybody invited him. And if they did, I don't think he would have gone.
mm,
Um, Dr. Phil has very, very specifically picked an ideological and political side,
mm,
and it's not in that he necessarily is like right leaning. It's that he has joined up with, financially speaking,
mm.
with a sect of right wing Christian nationalism.
Yes.
So we're not even just talking like Republicans, like that be like whatever. Like he's interviewing like shit, I don't know, Lindsey Graham or something. Who cares? Like fine, okay, no big deal. But like he is literally in bed with and made a news channel with Christo fascists.
Yeah,
Like
I saw he was doing
fucking
this
nuts.
news network, right? And Dr. Phil has always had this like Christian leaning styled show. And like
Sure.
the reason I know that is because my household was very Christian and that was one of the shows my family liked to watch.
Absolutely, it's rooted in like Americana style Christian values. Sure.
Yeah. So I'm now he's not he does have a degree, right?
Yeah. I want to be. I said this wrong at one point. Uh, so he is doctoral degree in clinical psychology from the University of North Texas. Okay. So it's clinical psychology. Now, the
Mhm.
biggest problem that you have, followed by a postdoctoral fellowship in forensic psychology. Now, the one thing that's important to note is that Dr. Phil's career as a psychologist is very minimal, very,
Yes.
very, very minimal, and that you couldn't really call him anything of an academic.
Mhm.
You could say he was a working psychologist to a degree, but largely, ever since he started getting into show business, it's largely just been a prop for what he does on television. It's armor for him for what
Yeah.
he says. So
It kind of reminds me of Jordan Peterson, except Jordan Peterson has more clinical practice or has had
yeah,
more clinical practice historically.
right, and I would have said, prior to him exiting it, he was an academic. Jordan Peterson was definitely an
Yes.
academic,
Yeah.
for better or worse.
I mean, he
Being an
worked at
academic,
Toronto, so yeah.
sure, yeah, yeah. I mean, I like Brett Weinstein is an academic, and
Yeah.
he's a goddamn lunatic. So, just being in academia doesn't necessarily mean that you're sane or you're smart. It just means you did the work and you got the job.
Yeah.
So,
There's more than one way to be a fuck up, I guess, is a good way to put it.
yeah,
You,
Yeah, I
no
like
matter
that.
where you're coming from, it's not a non-exclusive category. Very
Yep,
inclusive.
absolutely. Nah, it's
So,
crazy.
this network, right? I noticed he was trying to build and work on this network, this news network. And it's like,
Mhm.
it didn't seem unsimilar to, like, the Daily Wire.
It's funny you mentioned that because he's also been teaming up with the Daily Wire.
Oh, no!
Oh yeah. Oh
I didn't
yeah.
know
Oh
about
yeah.
that!
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. So it's if you go to Dr. Phil's channel, it's so bananas. He's on his main video releases. It's a lot of repeats, a lot of replays. Like I think it was only just
Mm.
this month they re-released the entire full episode of him and Goose Wayne. Like, do you know
Mm.
Goose Wayne?
Mm-mm.
Oh, dude. My fiance believes he's a superhero. He would run around in a Batman mask. He's really cool. He's a major TikTok star now, millions of subscribers.
Maybe I do know
YouTube
him,
as
but I don't know
well.
the name.
He's so fucking funny. He's a buddy of mine. I love him to death. He's wild. Such a good dude. Really, really, like, really sweet person in real life, too. Genuine motherfucker. But here's the thing. So,
Nice.
if you go to his channel and you click on live, well, he didn't do shit for about 4 years. Then he had a random podcast with Steve Harvey about the time he started getting, a little bit after he got into bed with the Christians. And then the next thing you know, he's hanging out with Bari Weiss, Dave Rubin, and then sitting in with the Daily Wire. And this is all around the
Oh.
election time. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh. I
Yeah,
see.
Matt Walsh is there. Like it's absolutely bananas.
He's been
Just
sucked
to know that.
in.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, the money's real.
The
That's
money's appealing,
why.
yeah.
Yeah, and people are booking his platform and his face to get leverage. So, like, he
Yeah.
also did he did an interview with Tom Human, the incoming dude that's going to be in charge of the border. I refuse to say border czar seriously because that sounds so fucking dumb.
It does.
Yeah, like he's doing that. He's doing all sorts of crazy shit.
You think he's into Project 2025?
I don't think that he is a true believer of anything.
He believes in the grift.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He believes in the grift. I think he would co-sign all of our lives and freedoms for whatever kind of paycheck he could get.
Sure.
His main contract right now that he's working with is with Trinity Broadcasting,
Yes.
and they're doing like a lot of his exclusive stuff. So yeah, it's crazy.
Is it doing well?
Seems to be, yeah, seems to be.
Damn.
I mean, if you go by their metrics on YouTube, they're not doing terribly well, but they, if I'm not mistaken, Trinity Broadcasting Network legitimately gets pretty good syndication on different like Dish Network and things like that.
Oh, okay, so like satellite stuff.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like, yeah, so you like subscribe to the network on your device or whatever you're using.
I think it might be in like package deals and stuff. Like, I'd have to look into exactly where TBN is being. Oh, I don't know. What services have TBN?
I'm gonna make us see if I can make us a poll because this is a brand new channel, so I don't know if it's gonna let me actually do anything. I can.
Yeah.
All right. I need to ask the chat a question. Whose keyboard is louder?
Oh,
Mine
nice.
or
Yeah.
Jeff's?
Yeah. A lot of digital media receivers: Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV. A lot of satellite, like Quantum and that sort of shit.
Yeah.
And also on Freevee.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So if you want to watch Dr. Phil, that's where to do it. I will take this moment to remind everyone to definitely not go to cameo.com/ksorbs and definitely do not pay money to Kevin Sorbo to have him record and read his tweets out loud. Definitely do not do that.
God damn it. Fucking Kevin Sorbo. Yeah, I can't vote in that poll because I can't hear my keyboard, so
Damn.
yeah,
Oh, damn.
crazy.
Have to watch it on the replay. Did
I will say,
Oh, go ahead. No, you go first.
So I will say one thing that's really strange about Dr. Phil that most people don't don't know is he's not fat. Like a lot of people will look at an episode of Dr. Phil and they'll be like, ah, he's a
Oh,
wide
they think he's
guy,
like a big guy,
Yeah, they think he's, like he's
round.
filled out and round and whatnot, and that is entirely the aspect ratio where they stretch the TV camera open a little bit.
Really?
Yes, he is very gaunt. If you meet him in real life, his face is a lot. It's not round at all.
I see.
And
I
he
figured
is.
he wasn't like fat, but like all the way to gaunt.
It's
This
kind of
is the
gaunt. Yeah, his
TV
face is
adds
very
20
long.
pounds.
Yeah, and it's all because of the compression of like the aspect ratio by which
Yeah,
it's recorded at versus the aspect ratio that it's then produced through television. Like you can even
that's
see
crazy.
if you looked at pictures of me around the same time that I went to Dr. Phil versus like me on Dr. Phil, I look like it's really weird, super weird. But yeah, it was crazy. He's very tall though, super tall.
Yeah, I knew he was tall. Does there so the thing is like the Republican Party of what is the rags of what is left of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of hard to describe, I guess, at this point, right? It's just, it doesn't seem like it's the Republican Party anymore, and I don't think it has been. I think
Nope.
most people don't believe that it is. There are lots of Republicans that are not fans of where the Republican Party is going and has been going.
Right.
There are actually a lot of people who supported Trump who actually only did so because they were like, yeah, but X, Y,
It
and
had
Z.
to. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that doesn't really feel very democratic, I guess. But
Really, really, the American political system doesn't feel too democratic. That's so strange because it's not. It's really not. Um,
as a
well,
Canadian looking in, I don't
yeah,
know. I don't
yeah.
know.
All right. So some of the top Republicans that are still in office,
Mhm.
Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
These people don't like Trump.
Right.
Even Kevin McCarthy, the guy that got ousted as Speaker, who just gargled Trump's balls like a motherfucker, he doesn't like Trump either.
Right.
Like they don't like where their party is going. They're not a fan of it. Um, but the reason why this keeps happening, and they really did try. They tried with the primary to try and get somebody to really show up that could energize the base to challenge Biden. But really, the only option they had was
Mhm.
Trump. He's the
Yeah.
only one that had the momentum that people were interested in, and they don't like it. They don't like it, but they don't have the balls to say anything or do anything about it.
Sure,
Because
yeah. They don't have
ultimately,
the momentum either. They don't have the backing of the party and
right, right, and so this all comes down to money. America's politics are ultimately run by moneyed interests and corporate interests. And if those corporations believe that they're going to be able to get more of what they want through one
Mhm.
candidate versus the other, the rest of the
Mhm.
politicians will fall in the line. Simple as that.
Well, they seem to be correct.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. Yep. They
I
absolutely do.
So, do you think that like the reason Dr. Phil was there was part of just like money, the corporatization of the American political system mixed with like a
Absolutely.
dash of just notoriety? Like, why would they want Dr. Phil there anyway? Because he gives
Well,
them some kind of Christian credibility?
yes, that's a big part of it. So Americans are very easily swayed by nostalgia. Dr. Phil
Mm-hmm.
is an institution that's been with us for at this point decades, and he
Mm-hmm.
represents core family values, addressing what is seen as the more challenging aspects in society, troubled teens and
Sure.
uh, you know, people shocking the system and that sort of thing. And at the end, Dr. Phil always wins. He always perseveres. Like this
And
is
he
the story.
solves the problem. So he's like a
Right,
problem solver of these social issues. Then we're worried about our kids and.
right, right. So he is comfortable. Whether we realize it or not, a lot of people, well, they realize it or not, a lot of people will see Dr. Phil and they will be comforted by the idea that somebody that they had in their homes so often is now aligning with this thing, and he's saying like, hey, this is a good thing, and if he says a good thing, that means that that thing is somehow reflected into those values that people hold dear, even though it's hilariously wrong and not even close.
Yeah.
But that's, you know,
Well, I think
that's the
he's
psychology
also
behind it.
viewed as like an intelligent person who knows what he's doing, which would probably comfort a lot of the people who are like less comfortable voting for Trump, who seems absolutely fucking unhinged because he's
Right.
absolutely fucking unhinged.
Right. And
Mm-hmm.
that really does. It's, God, you hit the nail on the head with that one for sure. I mean, that's the long and short of exactly why this continues to happen. Um, is people are more comfortable with that because they're told that they have to be afraid of things, you know, and if we can make things that are socio-politically the opposite of what is comfortable, then they can be seen as bad, no matter
Yeah.
what. What is
Mm.
fascinating, though, and probably the coolest part about it, and I'd love to know what Dr. Phil thinks about this whole thing, I'm pretty sure I can guess, is what's been happening with our politics lately since December 4th, because that's
Mm-hmm.
really interesting. That's exciting. That's really exciting. Like Americans have ceased all pretense and are kind of like, you know, murder isn't that bad.
You know, violence is an option.
You know, it can solve a lot of shit. That's interesting.
Hmm. The fact that a whole ton of, like, the American public, in response to a broad daylight shooting, and
Yeah,
that shooter being, like, turned in, was,
yeah,
like, narc.
yeah. That was great.
Like,
That was great.
I can understand like the American people being surprised. I can also be see the American people being like maybe feeling like a shooting is mundane. I don't think they viewed this shooting as mundane, but I could see it not causing like outrage in the way that CEOs want it to cause outrage.
Right.
But the narc part is what got me, and I'm like that that says
The narc
something.
part's great. The narc part's great, and like if you see some of the people that like when they react to the fact that the person who narked out Luigi Mangione is
Yeah.
not getting any reward, and people are like, "Good, fuck you, bitch, fuck
Well,
you." Like,
they're not even just mad at the person. They're mad at the manager because there's rumors that the manager was the one who told them that they had to call and they made
right?
them do it. And then everybody's also mad at McDonald's that like Burger King is throwing shade at
Oh,
McDonald's.
I know that was so good. Burger King tweets out, "We don't narc." That's incredible. That's incredible.
I am waiting for the Wendy's account. Where's the Wendy's account on
I
this?
know. I know, and well, that's it's what's so fucking weird too is like if you put it into context, it gets so bizarre.
Yeah.
Uh, Here you have Burger King
Yeah.
being like, "Hey, yeah, if there's a murderer of a CEO, we won't narc to them. We won't tell the fucking cops." That when you really put it in the goddamn context of that, that's nuts.
The
That's absolutely
company
bananas.
Burger King is
Yeah,
telling you that we don't support these specific types of CEOs, which is kind of not unequivalent to Burger King and the fast food industry throwing
right.
money into politics.
Sure,
It's the same
absolutely.
kind of messaging.
It kind of is, yeah. I can't even. It's so fucking weird. This whole thing is so weird, and I love it. I love it. I couldn't be happier. This whole thing is wonderful, and it's great because one of the things that always drives me nuts about talking about politics and talking about well, shit. I mean, for a long time, I've been struggling with this problem that I have, which is I don't think people are very honest with themselves when they discuss politics and how we interface with society. You know, you'll hear people say things like violence is bad, and you're like, yeah, sure, violence is bad, but I mean, like, can we talk a little? No, all violence is bad. Like, do you really believe that? Do you really believe that? Do you
Yeah.
actually believe that? Because I don't think anybody actually believes that, and it's
Yeah.
really fun to confront people with that and be like, you know,
Yes.
well, let's find out what do you actually believe,
I
you
think
know,
this is
and
a great line because, well, before I go into it, people are
yeah.
saying your mic is a little off, and they're wondering if you're using your cam mic. I didn't think about your microphone because we were too busy focusing on your video.
Oh, let's check. Let's
Uh oh.
see.
It's one of those things where I talk about like, and I've talked about this on our more news show that is should be happening soon next Saturday. Where we were talking about like politics is violent by nature.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Is that better?
I think that sounds the same to me, but it might sound different to
Is it?
them outside.
Yeah, is that any better?
That sounds the
Guys
same
out
to
there?
yeah, guys. Let us know. We'll find out in a minute. The
Yeah,
YouTube delay is dirty.
yeah, it really is.
It's so bad. Did you get a notification in your YouTube studio about you can turn on an AI training for your videos?
Oh my god, have you looked into it?
Oh, I just saw the notification yesterday and I'm like, I don't even know if I want to look into it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I just
Sounds the same.
oh god, my mic sounds fucking terrible. Hang on. Oh my
Uh-oh.
god. I just listened to the stream and I can't believe how terrible it sounds.
Uh-oh, I'm sorry, I've
All
ruined
right.
Jeff's day. He's gonna fix it. He's gonna have to
Yeah.
leave and then come back in,
I
probably.
sound so gross. I'm so sorry, everybody. I can't believe we've been making people listen to me like this. Okay. Hang on, I'll be right back.
Well, do I sound
All right.
okay? Whoa,
If that's any better.
that is way different.
Is it?
Yeah, I might have to adjust your gain now. Oop.
Uh-oh.
All right, there you go.
Yeah. All right. Sweet. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, thank God. Yeah, no, I actually sound like a decent human being now.
It just sounds like coming out of a
Um
tin can.
yeah, God, fuck.
Sorry.
I'm just gonna blame it all. No, I say you. I'm gonna blame it all on my absolute shit show of a production studio right now. It's just crazy. I couldn't even get
Your
my background to work.
your janky ass setup right now.
Yep, super janky. Yeah, have you tried fucking around with any of the AI stuff in the tab?
I hate AI. I have violent tendencies towards AI. So I've
You
only
know what?
really messed with it
Fair.
a little bit. I think like it has a place, but its place is kind of away from me.
I like that. Yeah, yeah. No, I like that. That's good. Okay, there's some things that I have found to be extremely useful with AI.
Mhm.
So a good example is like if I'm making a thumbnail and I really want like a picture cut off the top of somebody's head, and I really want that to be, not that. I can use AI to just generate the image a little bit bigger to kind of fill it in, and it usually works really well.
Mhm.
That's a really benign, very useful way to do it.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't think that that's the kind of thing that would be necessarily problematic. As an
sure,
artist, I have like a vitriolic take, I guess, where it's like
as you should.
if you're doing art and you're trying to do art, then sorry, bad shit goes in, bad shit comes out. Like if you
Right.
get it's useless to me in that regard. But if you're talking about like just using it to autofill something, or you're using it to like
Yeah.
generate a forehead, or you're using it to be like, hey AI, make this guy's head bigger, like that's
Yeah.
fine. Like
Yeah.
I don't see
Yeah.
an issue to that.
It's not that big of a deal. But
Well, because it's like it's because
I
it's
don't like
what you're
large
doing
language
is
models.
generating effects. You're not generating art at that point. You're just generating the effect of the area. So
That's exactly right.
that at least that's the difference to me. So you're just having a tool do the select area blow up thing, and it's like
Right.
instead
Right.
of you clicking through to do it yourself, and it's like
When it comes to like large language models being applied to like doing artwork and things like that, I
mm,
really have a big problem with it. I have a huge problem with it. I think that's vile.
yeah, it's
It
real
just ends
bad.
up being straight theft, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
So,
it's problematic that way.
um,
But back to topic:
yes.
politics,
Oh,
violence, Dr. Phil.
yes.
So
Yes.
one of the things that I think is really interesting about this is because I do not think this will be limited to um, CEOs that do Medicare stuff.
Okay.
Mostly because, like, I think that's the early beginnings of it because I think people will feel the most justified doing something like that.
Yeah, okay, I can see that. Sure. Sure.
So there's not gonna be a whole lot of blowback, right? Like, we're gonna see exactly what we saw. right? We got
Right.
like this Robin Hood narrative about this person who was suffering, who
Mm.
has cleared out some trash, who was forcing other people to suffer for no other reason than their own greed. We have a dragon slayer on our hands.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
I like that, a dragon slayer. That's cool as fuck.
and I think is like as that progresses, it's not just in Medicare that we see people on like or dragons as it were on these hordes and hordes and hordes of wealth that is ostensibly causing everybody else to suffer.
Right.
And they don't need that wealth and they can't even use that wealth, and in fact that wealth is bad for them. So
Right.
they don't know what to do with it. It stresses them out, like it's not good for you. So there's actually like a study that they did on this. There's like an amount of money that is too much where it starts impacting you negatively. So
Okay.
there's like a sweet spot. And
Right.
so once you get too much, it starts to fuck with your head because you're playing keep up with the Joneses like any normal person would, but now you're playing keep up with the Joneses on this whole other level. And it like drives you insane.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah.
I'm picking up what you're putting
So
down.
so in this case, if you've got this hoarding going on, and the narrative starts to shift from obvious one-to-one to it starts getting more abstract as the
Right.
conversation progresses, because you say, well, he was making these decisions and profiting by making people suffer, and people go, okay, well, this person is forcing their workers into these conditions a la Jeff Bezos and forcing them to suffer to profit. And so
Right.
it's the connection is automatic, like it's just going to snowball if it's allowed to.
I think so too. God, that's a really interesting way to fucking put it. I think too that there has to be a redefinition on what violence actually entails too, because like
Sure.
as many people started
Yeah.
pointing out, and I think it's really important to be pointed out, um, it is violent to deny somebody a care that could keep them alive, right?
Yes.
And that in and of itself can be a form of violence, and it should be acknowledged as a form of violence. And with that in mind, it could also extend to things like if you're priced out of your fucking home and suddenly you and your family are stranded and trying to make ends meet, that
Yeah.
could be a form of violence.
Mm-hmm.
If you are economically impacted by this or that or the other thing, and it's on a systematic scale, we can start redefining these along the lines of
Mm-hmm.
ethical ethical evils, and
The
that's a really
impact.
important part.
Yeah.
Right,
The
the
ethical
impact is an
impact.
ethical
Yeah.
evil, right. Because like right now we have this idea that like right now, according to the ethics of like Western civilization, murder is wrong. Unless
Yeah,
and
there's the caveats. It's like murder is wrong by definition. Killing might be okay depending
right,
on the scenario.
right.
Yeah.
And as we start this conversation up and we start understanding that maybe our ethical understanding of what is violence, what is murder, what is killing,
Mm-hmm.
expands to allowing these kinds of institutions to hurt people,
Right.
that will redraw the barriers. And I think it's important that that happens. Um,
Well, in America, do you not have the right to protect yourself?
sure, sure, yeah,
So, if this person is denying basic things that you need, are you not within your right to protect yourself?
right. Or your children. Like, what happens
Right.
if you are, if you perish because of these situations, and
Mm-hmm.
now suddenly like there's nobody to take care of your kids? I mean, who wouldn't kill to take care of their children? Like these are things that we can start actually understanding. And the one thing that is so precious about this conversation, and that we're having to deal with right now, and it's gonna be a fight in the
Yeah.
United States,
Yeah.
is that the last thing people want, I mean people, but like I don't want to use stupid terms and sound like Russell Brand and be like the machine, the machine wants to keep us,
We gotta
divided, and the
We're
people
gonna have to
want
do
to
this
be
again
together.
about Russell Brand.
You know, no, I know, but you know
Did
what I
you
mean.
see Russell Brand and Jordan Peterson talking to each other?
Yes, I did. It was fucking awesome.
Did you not?
Awesome,
Was that
awesome,
not?
awesome.
I watched it and all I could think was these are two people in a room talking to themselves because they would say something and the other
Oh
one
yeah.
would go, "Yeah," and then say something completely unrelated and then they go, "Yeah," and then say something and all of it mounted to actually saying nothing the entire time.
Yeah. Yeah. They neither of them had any idea what the other one was saying, and it was
Oh,
beautiful. It was
it's
so
so
cool.
funny.
It was so awesome. I loved every minute of it. I laughed so goddamn hard.
Uh,
Um,
I'm sorry. Russell Brand was like the machine. Like there's a
the
system, and the
machine.
system is a problem.
Right, right, right.
Yeah,
Uh, but yeah, like they don't like these conversations because
yeah.
if I can sit there and I'm pretty hardcore lefty kind of guy, if I can sit there and say like, look, this is how I feel about it, and then another guy who's like kind of a diehard Trumper is like, yeah, you're making a lot of sense. They don't want that. They don't
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
They don't like that at all. We need to be fighting about trans issues and bathrooms and abortion. That's what they want. They want us to talk about that. Meanwhile, we don't notice that they're allowing healthcare CEOs and companies to
Yeah.
rape and profit our lives. Like that's what they're really into. And don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. Don't get me wrong. Like those people are still fucking wrong. They're still gross and they say some horrible, horrible shit. But
Yes.
in the grand scheme of things, like if we're talking about what is a greater, more ethically evil thing, I think the rampant destruction of people's healthcare industries and the dissolution of our value as workers is vastly more important.
Well,
And
we've
it,
kind
it
of
is
looped back around to sometimes you have to work with people you don't like. And
sure,
sometimes you have to
sure,
work with people that you don't like that have abhorrent ideas about other things to get this thing that you can agree on at least
yeah,
completed. And then while you're working together on this thing, maybe you can just inch them a little bit this way and a little bit this way and a
right,
little bit this way and convince
right.
and take the opportunity in that case.
Well, that's one of the problems with
Mm.
Trump, though. Is like so one thing that was so attractive of him to so many people, and still is they
Hmm.
have this perception that he's this great outsider. He
Right.
is outside of the machine. That he is somehow like a rogue element that's shaking things up. He's going to drain the swamp and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so that is very attractive to people, and I understand why that's attractive to people.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that impulse and that desire for that kind of authenticity is not a bad thing.
Hmm.
I think it's just that people have kind of just gotten hypnotized into thinking that that's what it is when
Yeah,
it's obviously not.
it's one of those things where the American people I think have been very clear for a good number of years and their politicians have been ignoring them.
Oh yeah,
I
sure.
think the American people have been very, very clear that they are sick and tired of the way the system is operating, and they
Yeah.
want something that can happen that will change it. And if, like, you talk to people about the
Mm,
policies that they want are usually, like, socially lilted and left lilted. But if you
yeah.
look at who they vote for, they're voting for things that are absolutely against what they actually think that say that they want. And so,
Right.
why is that? And well, it's because they don't believe in, like, the Democrats have failed over and over and over again.
Oh yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah.
like and then meanwhile you get Dr. Phil like strolling up in here being like, "Calm down everyone, everything will be okay." And his like deeper voice with his like his Texas accent
Mhm.
being like, "Calm down
Well,
everybody."
listen here,
Let's be
everything's gonna
logical
be
about this.
all right. I don't want to hear none of the shenanigans talking about class war or anything like that. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
fucking
exactly.
crazy. It's
Well, and
crazy.
it's a lot of money, and a lot of money doesn't necessarily want a change to the status quo, right? A lot of money
No,
doesn't want people to start voting and arguing and working together against them. So what do? You
right.
make up enemies.
Exactly. Yeah, divide and conquer. It's a very simple tactic. It's been used forever. And what's bananas about it too. So really good. One of my favorite things about American politics is so fucking stupid. It's so great and terrible and awful, but so funny.
Mm,
Is So there's this narrative that's spun that Democrats are like this far left communist Marxist blah 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 blah. Democrats in the United States ever since
mm,
Clinton have been right of center. Like they are
yeah,
right of center. They are neoliberal corporatists.
yeah,
They suck the dick of big corporations just as much as anybody else. They do not in any way have some kind of representation for the values by which they are unjustly labeled, because like
Yeah.
they're all about socialism. Boy, I wish they were. That would be so interesting. But instead, it's not.
Wouldn't that be an interesting conversation you could have if you actually had different sides to choose from?
Right, right.
Imagine.
Like I don't, whether or not you want to be pro socialism or not, but at least at the very least, it would be something different. But they're not
Yeah.
that different. They're very, very similar, and it makes it incredibly frustrating and boring and hilarious.
Yeah.
That this conversation happens that way, because
Hmm.
it's bananas. It's in no way reflective of reality at all.
Yeah. Your camera
So,
has just decided it doesn't want to play anymore.
did it? Oh, there it kind of goes. I don't know what the fuck is going on, man.
Jeff is a walking technical issue today.
I guess, man. I guess it's driving me bananas.
That's okay. At least you sound good now.
Yeah, at least now I sound good. That's the most important part for sure.
Welcome to the podcast where who cares about the visuals?
Okay.
We're gonna put you
We'll
in
do it.
Candyland.
Yeah. Do you need me to? Do you need me to go
No.
to Candyland? Okay. All right.
No, it's okay. We'll have to have you back again though because I enjoy these conversations.
Absolutely,
Um,
of course.
I think we need to have like a more expansive one because we are focusing a little heftily on like personality and Dr. Phil, but I think a greater conversation about like the CEO shooting and its effect on America, I think would be a very, very big conversation.
Oh yeah.
Because
Oh yeah.
again, I don't think because like you said, if the Democratic Party is sucking the dick of big corporation and big corporation says maybe you do shoot a CEO, like what do the Democrats do?
Yeah.
Like, what happens?
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's yeah.
Free Burger King Whoppers for a year. Start putting out
dude.
There are hit lists that are out there now.
Are there really?
Yeah.
Oh no, I've seen a couple of those. Yeah, where they're like, I do a lot of TikTok. I love TikTok. I can't help it. I'm addicted. Yeah, and there's just like these people doing conversations like, oh, some CEOs are really scared. Yeah, like what CEOs? Oh, like so and so from this corporation that took in this much amount of money, and their headquarters are located at blank. Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Anybody else? Like, Jesus Christ, you guys.
I saw
Fucking
one that was
chill.
absolutely savage that had the stats for the CEO, the Brian or whatever the fuck is. I don't care to know his name. He's an asshole.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
The CEO that got shot, they had his stats and like what he had done and what like some of the lawsuits and stuff that had happened and how many families that had died or had gone into like
Sure.
horrific poverty because of what he's done.
Yeah.
On a clip show playing with the song playing underneath They Had It Coming from Chicago.
Oh no.
And it got banned off of TikTok and then re-uploaded, then banned again, and then people started screen recording it and uploading it that way.
Nice. Yeah.
And I was
yeah.
just like, I'm like, but where's the lie though?
Yeah, it's man, and I think people are gonna have to figure out how to contend with this,
Yeah.
and right now it's so. Oh, okay, here's a God. All right, fuck. God, I love this fucking conversation. It's awesome.
Yay! Jeff is happy to be here. Congratulations! Clap in
I'm
the
always
chat,
happy.
everyone.
I'm always happy to hang out with you. The other day I was going out to lunch with my dad.
Yes.
And my dad's like, yeah, you know how I really only watch like Chris Cuomo, and I'm like, yeah, Dad, I know you really like Chris Cuomo. He's like, yeah, News Nation and all that. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I'm like, yeah, okay. So what's this about? And he's like, well, he was talking about that the CEO shooter thing, and I'm like, yeah, okay, right. He's like, yeah, and he was saying how it's crazy and ghastly because people are celebrating this. Have you heard about people celebrating this? I'm like, oh yeah, Dad. Yeah, I've heard about people celebrating this. Yeah, I've heard that a lot. And he's like, yeah, well, he was just saying like how that's a really terrible thing. And I stopped him like, Dad, do you know why Chris Cuomo says that it's just such a bad thing? And like, why would anybody be celebrating this? I don't know why. Because he's a millionaire, Dad. He doesn't have to worry about anybody in his family dying because they get denied healthcare. He will never have to worry about getting some disease and not being able to get coverage for it. That's why he's saying it. He can't empathize. He doesn't know. He doesn't know. Like, what? What are you talking about? And it took me 7 minutes of talking to my dad before he was like, you know what, maybe we should change the conversation.
You're radicalizing me. Please stop.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
some of
Yeah.
those people, okay, one of the things that I think that people miss is like taking and peeling back like the topical issues at hand.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's important to just kind of look at who you're dealing with. So, like, if you're
Right.
talking to like MAGA people, particularly the very aggressive ones, you
Right.
want people like that on your side because they are motivated, they are
Mm.
vitriolic, they are
Mhm.
energized, and they fucking, whatever it is that they care about, they fucking care. So
Oh
if you
yeah.
can take a person who is like that, they might be wrapped up in a whole lot of bullshit that you don't want, but
Sure.
sometimes all it takes is one thing for all of that to unravel. And when that one thing gets just pulled out, it's why people change their mind when suddenly they have a gay kid. They're like, oh shit.
Yes.
And sometimes they're Elon Musk and they start using their kid as a human shield after a CEO gets shot.
That fucking guy. Oh my god.
I don't know. So, but
So
like,
good.
you want people who are energized. You want people who are motivated. You want people who know how to do that on your side. And a lot of, I think like Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil is going to elicit something positive for the party.
Right.
Dr. Phil
Right.
is going to elicit a sense of like calm, a sense of nostalgia you mentioned, a sense of authority, a sense of intelligence to something that is otherwise it might be a thin veneer, but a veneer nonetheless that
Very
is going to people are going to find attractive, right? Or at least to help
Sure.
them justify something that they might not necessarily believe in as much.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's really crazy because it requires that much amount of like I don't know.
It's a lot of effort.
It is a lot of effort. Well, and so but I like what you were saying though. If there was some way to mobilize MAGA really, really hardcore against CEOs, that would be wonderful. But I don't really know exactly how that could be accomplished. I
Well,
mean,
yeah,
whatever
you've
it is,
already got they're already
says.
pro-killing, right? We already know that. They're already
Sure.
pro-violence. We already know that. Just look at the way they've handled Kyle Rittenhouse, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So they're already pro those things.
Mhm.
If you find them on social platforms, they are like on everything. Kyle Rittenhouse said he wasn't that interested in Trump, and they transvestigated him.
Yes, they did.
So
Yes.
somebody they held up as a hero for a while and lauded as like some whatever the fuck folk
Yeah.
hero said one thing out of line, and then they just reamed him until he changed his mind, and then they celebrated him again. It's almost
I
like a
don't know.
cult or something. But
That dude might have a vagina. I don't know. We got to
I
look
don't
into this
know.
one.
So if you can, it's dangerous to also try to mobilize a group like that. You don't necessarily want to move the group. What you want to do is you want to pick and choose.
I mean, if it introduces a little chaos into the system, I say fucking let them cook.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, why not?
It's all right.
So you frame the shooter Luigi as like a strong MAGA backed by Trump individual, so that way they get behind him.
Sure, yeah. He was all about Trump, guys.
Cleaning
He
the
loved Trump.
swamp.
Yeah. He's adjusting the swamp, and he deserves our respect and our backing, guys.
Yeah.
So let's all get on board the Ouija train, and it'll be good. We'll be good.
We're back to the year of Luigi again already. Damn.
We are, ironically.
I've been
Right
saying
back
this
to
that
it.
like would not be surprised to find out that World War III ends up being a class war, like a worldwide class war.
Wouldn't that be awesome? Wouldn't that be just so great?
As much as I've disliked the idea of World War, I think that like Cold War, World War III stuff is already going on, has already been happening. We're just haven't officially started yet. But
Sure.
if there's a little bit of a paradigm shift of where it's going, I would be way more happy with than it just being like countries fighting with each other. If it's like the people of multiple countries just overthrowing their governments, yeah, I'm kind of here for that.
Yeah. It's okay. I guess my main. All right, my first and foremost value as a person, above everything else is that I am a speciesist. I believe that our species should survive. That's like first and foremost. I'm all about humans. I believe in humanity. I believe that we should go as far as we can, and we should primarily be invested in our own survival. And that's like
Very
what informs
humanist.
all
Yeah.
right. It informs all of my politics from the top down.
Mhm.
That being said, I am always interested in something really being shaken up and things really changing. And so, like, a good
Mhm.
example is when COVID happened, I got really excited.
Yeah.
I really thought this was going to be fucking entertaining as shit. And it was for about a month and a half.
And
Like,
then
me and my
it
buddy are
was
driving
until it
around.
wasn't.
Me and my buddy are driving around in my pickup truck wearing gas masks and blasting the Doom soundtrack. It was great.
That's
So
wonderful.
awesome.
On an empty
So,
street. Yeah.
yeah.
No one
It was
else is
either
out.
it was Doom or the soundtrack from Fury Road. And,
Oh,
some poor random guy would be driving down the street and like come up to a stoplight next to us, and we'd both
fucking
turn and
Mad
look at
Max
our
ass
gas
shit.
masks, and they're like, "Whoa, what the fuck?" It was great. And then it just sucked. Then it was awful, and it was the worst thing ever.
Mhm.
So yeah, like a global class war sounds very, very entertaining, and I'm
Mhm.
here for it. You know, or
Well,
even just one beer would be fine.
yeah, we have been live for nearly an hour, so we should start wrapping up. I think I'll give you one more thought that you can expound upon, and then we'll take
Sure.
off. How many times are you allowed to punch somebody before they're allowed to punch you back? Because I think that's most of what we've been talking about.
Yeah, yeah. In a purely reductive sense, like the moment you enact some form of aggression on somebody, you should be expecting some form of aggression back. That's not how the world works, and that's definitely not how our society works.
Mhm.
In the world, there's so many different factors that can be, compounded upon. Like you might have more reasons to avoid trouble than they do. You might have more people relying on you, so you don't want to possibly get into trouble. Maybe you don't have the physical capacity to have to respond to aggression like you want to.
Mhm.
And on a much more macro level, when we're talking about aggression and violence being enacted upon us by other factors, again, it makes it more complicated. But in a purely simplistic sense of justice, the moment somebody does you wrong, you should be able to respond in kind, and or there should be some repercussion thereof. That's like the
Mhm.
basis for society. That's the basis for the rules by which we govern ourselves, and we collectively agree upon crime and punishment. The difference is that we've been voodoo hypnotized into this Stockholm syndrome with our dysfunction in how we relate to power, that we effectively let people abuse us and piss on our faces constantly, and we just
Mhm.
fucking take it. We just take it.
Yeah.
We get moralized to and told like this is the way to be a good person, is to just suck it up and eat the shit. And I
Yeah.
think that's terrible. Um, I get why some people are hypnotized into thinking that if you do anything other than that, you're somehow contributing to the downfall of society. But that's wrong.
Mhm.
That's wrong. And it's important that we start uncucking ourselves from power and like,
Mhm.
being real people again. And I hope we do. I hope we continue to go.
Yeah. I think that's an interesting direction, and I think it's a pretty good take. It's like things are we are a violent species by nature, and
Yeah.
so and it's part of what our society is built on, being violent outwards and inwards and towards ourselves as individuals. Like people aren't nice to themselves a lot of the time.
Right.
But I would like to point out one interesting factor since you brought
Yeah.
up voodoo hypnotizing. There was a lot of research that the American government did in mind control in the 60s and 70s. A
Yes.
lot. And so to
Oh, yeah.
think that absolutely nothing came out of it, I
Oh
think
yeah.
you would be wrong because I encourage everybody to look into like a marketing 101 course. Like you
Oh
don't have
yeah.
to go all the way into it, but just look at some of the stuff that marketing does. Cuz that is, if there was ever mind control, that would be it. Especially with
Yeah.
all the information that has been sold to the government and to corporations since the advent of Facebook.
Right.
So
Right.
if you want to look at the paradigm shift of when Americans started having this like massive shift towards this MAGA ideology, very
Mm.
very much look at when Mark Zuckerberg started selling your information.
Okay, okay. I'm
Yeah,
feeling it. I'm feeling it.
yeah, yeah,
There's one question in the chat that I would
yeah,
actually like to respond to.
yeah. Go ahead.
What's a speciesist take on abortion? Um, so I will answer that with an example. So abortion ends the viable pregnancies of many potentially viable embryos every year. That being said, if you added up every single abortion that's ever been performed, it would come nowhere close to as many people as have died in the name of a god.
Mm.
So that being said, before we even talk about whether or not abortion is a moral or ethical good or not, from the speciesist or humanist example of wanting our species to survive, I think before we even tackle that one, we should maybe ban religion. If that's the line that we're taking. That's
You're
really what
saying that abortion is pretty low on the priority rate, as like
Yeah.
less people, more people die from cars.
Yeah, more people
Should
die
we
from
abolish
cars.
cars?
Right. Let's abolish cars. Let's destroy all religion. Like sure. But like it just in the grand scheme of things, abortion is largely going to be another thing that's used to hypnotize you into a belief system, one way or the other. What I really always advocate for people when it comes to the topic of abortion is have your opinion and just keep it there.
Mm,
You know,
yeah, yeah,
that's probably the best.
yeah.
Especially if you don't have if you don't have a womb.
I mean,
Just
I think we could have. Jeff did a really good video about abortion that I definitely recommend you check out. I assume it's still on your channel. I shared that with my mom, and my mom was like, "This video's amazing."
I think I still do. I think I still
Yeah, I
do.
think it's
Yeah.
still up. I don't recall you taking it down, but I haven't
Yeah.
watched it since it came out. I guess I didn't watch it again, but it was a really good one. So if you want to know Jeff's feelings, I think going to check that video out would
Oh
be
yeah,
a good
abortion
idea.
is healthcare. Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. I also think that I mean, an abortion conversation would be interesting because realistically, it's one of those things where it's one take, at least I have on it, is that there are so many variables in making that kind of decision that you can't litigate
Sure.
it.
Sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. No,
So,
it's the only reason why to ever get anybody else involved in somebody else's abortion is if there's some other external factor uh that relates specifically to
yeah.
them and their health. And
Yes.
that's it. Other than
Yeah.
that, it's nobody else's fucking business.
Yeah. Yeah. It's between them and their doctor, and there shouldn't, like, do you really want your government involved in that sort of a scenario? There's so many things about it. A conversation for another day. I could go on about go off. But we should wrap up. We'll get Jeff back again for another conversation and see if we can get his camera working next time.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys.
Listen,
Appreciate
at least we
it.
got the audio. Thanks for letting us know about the audio, though, because I was like not thinking about it at all. So
Yeah,
greatly
me
appreciate
neither.
that. We will
Yeah.
be back soon. The next debate hub is scheduled for January, I believe. Yeah, January 4th. So thank you so much for joining us, and we are hitting this channel full throttle in the new year. So go and find Jeff Holiday at Jeff Holiday's links down below, and go check out his abortion video because it's fantastic. And we're gonna get out of here. Anything else to say?
Free Brianna Boston.
Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.